Okay, sir. Am I audible? Okay. So in yesterday's class, we had created certain subnets in Azure. Okay. Now, do you remember the date when I've drawn those images? No. ఏ అజూర్ కూడా డ్రా చేసాం కదా 20 తర్వాత 23 అన్ని లింకులు లేవా ఇందులో 21 22 క్లాసులు జరగలేదా సెలవులా కానీ అజూర్ బొమ్మ గీసాం కదా ఓకే రైట్ ఫైన్ ఐ డ్రా ఇట్ అగైన్ ఇట్స్ ఓకే రైట్ సార్ I remember drawing this image, man. I'm not sure. Okay, okay. So let us have one virtual network and two subnets where we will have app and DB. Okay, right. Okay, fine. It's okay, sir. Right. Entire on Azure. Okay. So we need to create the following network. Okay. So how many subnets do I want, sir? Only two subnets. If you remember yesterday we have created three. So shall we change that? Can we change that? Yes. Right. Okay. Now, first thing is I'm going to rename this file and then let me call it as dev.tfrs. Okay. So remember when we are basically creating my applications, I'll be creating that in various environments, dev environment, system test environment or QA environment, staging environment and prod environment. For next few days, whatever environments which you are creating is for developmental purposes or dev environment. And then we will try to make some changes to make it work for different environments. Okay, so I'm quite sure we understand what an environment is. Environment is where you basically check your application or test your application, right? So initially I'm starting by creating something which works out for dev. And in this dev, what I'll try to do is I'll try to tell that I don't want these many, I just want app and DB. Okay. And my network range, I'll be trying to use 10.0.0.0/16. Okay. Okay. And then, so let me go to main.tf, and then there are certain values which I don't like over here. So for example, resource group name, I want user to pass that information. Okay. Or I don't want to write it in this way. Okay. So for that reason, what I'll try to do is, okay, let me go over here, and then let me try to tell that variable names. Okay. Type is equals to object of, okay, resource underscore group underscore name is equals to string vnet resource underscore group. Vnet is equals to string. In the future, if there are any names, I'll try to add everything in here. Okay. So is this is something which you have used yesterday itself, object. And now in this, I'm trying to give default value. And in this default value, I'll try to give resource group name as entire hyphen rg. Okay. And then vnet, I'll be giving it as entire hyphen vnet. And then I said that I'll be using underscores everywhere. Hyphen somewhere and underscore somewhere is not a good idea. Are we clear on this? Yeah. And then let me rename this main to network.tf. And then what is my name? Variable dot names dot, and what is the name which you have given? Resource underscore group. Okay. So here, from here onwards, whenever I want to give, okay, resource group name, okay, so I'll be trying to use the attribute dot enter resource group dot name. Okay. Address space is vnet range, that is fine. Vnet range, why is it still in hyphen? Did we change it? Vnet underscore range kada? Yeah. Okay, sir. So using standards makes your script look better. Vnet underscore range. Okay. So here var dot names dot vnet. Any problem with the changes which I've done? Okay. So to process all the names, rather than using strings, I'm using one object. In that object, I have basically given two names. As of now, I have only two names. One is vnet name, the other one is the resource group name. Okay. And now if you try to look into my Terraform template, there is nowhere I'm directly writing values. I'm taking all the values either from variables or from attributes. And then I have defined dependencies also, right? Good, sir. Vnet is a list. Sir, it is vnet name, sir. Vnet on a pane card but the list ka, sir. This is for the name purpose. Okay, this is a name, and name is always a string, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let me reveal in File Explorer or not. They have given this option also, sir, which is good. That is integrated terminal. Okay, I thought Windows terminal. Fine. Okay. Now Terraform FMT always format. Okay. So now there is one thing which we are missing. Okay. So whenever you create any resource, let us go back. Let me, apart from this, let me close all the other tabs. Terraform Azure provider. Let me go over here. Okay, sir. So let me go to Azure RM underscore resource underscore group. Okay. So in resource group, there is something called as tags. So from now onwards, let us make this a habit. Whenever we are creating a resource, we will always add tags. So let me try to tell that tags is equals to env is equals to, right now we are working for dev environment. Okay. Now Azure RM underscore, come on, virtual underscore network. Argument reference. In here also, let us see if we have tags. Do we have tags? Yeah. So now if we have this Azure RM underscore subnet. Yeah. Argument reference. Where is tags లేదా ఇందులో subnet tags ఉండవు. Okay, subnet do not have tags, but this has tags. Tags is equals to env equals to dev. Right, sir. Let me remove all the unnecessary spaces and then let me do terraform fmt again. Right, are we clear on the changes which we have done now? So every time whenever I'm creating a resource, it is always a good idea to have tags, because generally when you create in reality, let it be Azure, AWS, GCP, or wherever it is, you will be at least creating 3 to 4 tags for everything which you create. I'm putting only one, right? Because in your organization, you need to tell which sprint are you working on, right? What is basically the project which you are working on, because you would have same account for multiple different things, right? Okay, fine then. Now we can do, let us do this one also. Created, okay, equals to Terraform. Let us give Terraform some credit of whatever it is trying to do. Okay, or created by. Make sense? Yeah, right. Now let me try to do Terraform FMT and then Terraform validate. Terraform apply -var -file and then /dev tfvars and then let me give auto approve. So for the people who have learned Jenkins, today try to apply this from Jenkins. Okay, if you have learned Jenkins already, try to create a node where Terraform is installed and try to execute the same command. It should be able to create the infrastructure. Yeah. Second time try to apply, you will get some new issues. We'll worry about it at a later point of time. Okay. It is trying to tell that I'm going to create 4 resources for you. So if you remember, resources are 4: 2 subnets, 1 virtual network, and 1 resource group. Yeah. If my network has 6 subnets, can I create all? What is that I need to change? Just values. Pass 6 subnet names. Yeah. Okay. It says that value for undeclared variable. Okay. There is something called as vnet hyphen range, but value was not found. This is not required, right? Yeah. The reason is this should be this. Okay. Right. But we have changed the input range and we have not applied this. Let me try to do Terraform, apply again. Because right now, if you try to look into this, what it would have done is it would have created entire resource group, and in that entire VNet and subnet range would have been 192.168. Subnet range would have been 192.168. So are you saying there is created by env? Arc, don't worry about it. This is something which I have added from some Azure classes work. Okay, right. Are we getting tags, sir? Yes. So created by Terraform and env is dev. This third tag is coming from something which we have discussed just in Azure class. There is something called as Azure policy which we have learned. That is what is adding the third tag. Okay, right. So if you try to see, I have changed 192 to 168, and then it is trying to that it will be updated in place. So now after this step, okay, once this is done, you will have everything according to what you have basically written. Did you understood the mistake which I have done? Variable name had a hyphen, but in inputs dot variable names I have replaced hyphen with underscore, but in input files I still had hyphen. So it has not taken that value and it has taken the default value. So I have to replace that. And now when you look at the plan, it is trying to tell that what is it? Subnet DB is not invalid. Okay, okay. What is that? Enter VNet 10.0.1.0 valid enter VNet. What is the reason for that? DB subscription. Let me do one thing, sir. Terraform destroy, because this is a man-made error. I don't want logics to be applied over here. Let us delete everything and recreate the stuff. Or I can do one thing. I can go over here, enter VNet, and then let me just delete this. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you see, I have a resource group, but I don't have any virtual network inside that. So let me try to tell Terraform. Okay. So there is one interesting command in Terraform. Terraform hyphen help. So are you seeing show? So what does it show? It shows the current state. So let me try to execute that command. Terraform show. So according to Terraform, what it has is, okay, you have these things. You have a resource group called as entire resource group. Okay. You have two subnets, which is 192.168.1.0, 192.168.0.0. Okay, and then you have virtual network with 10.0.0.0/16. So according to the Terraform's state, that is .tf state file that is stored, this is what it is. Okay, there is one more thing which is called as Terraform hyphen help. So are you seeing refresh? So it is trying to that you want to update the current state according to what is basically present. So let me try to tell that Terraform refresh. Let us see what happens. Refresh is you're asking Terraform, go and check in the cloud provider what is present versus what is present in your state file. My state file still I have deleted manually, if you remember. So there is no virtual network. But my state file, what it has stored lastly is you have a virtual network with 10 series, 2 subnets with 192.168 series. That is what my state file remembers. Okay. Let us see what happens. Okay. Now it has refreshed state. Now let me ask Terraform show. So is it showing the reality? I have deleted the virtual network. So it is trying to tell that, okay, refresh means what is happening? It will try to match your state versus what is actually present on the provider. So before this, when I tried to do refresh, it showed me resource group and then virtual network with 2 subnets. But I've gone manually and deleted the virtual network. Then I did refresh. Now refresh has updated my state file. Okay. Now, what is it I want to create? So that is Terraform plan. So what is Terraform plan, sir? If you remember, we have discussed this yesterday also. There are 3 things which you are worrying about. One is what you have written. The other one is what is already present. The third thing is what Terraform remembers locally. Remembers locally is state file. Okay. So whenever you try to execute Terraform command, first what it will do is it will do something called as refresh. When you do refresh, what happens? Your state gets updated with what is present in the provider. So right now we have already done the refresh. So our state is exactly with what is present on the cloud. Now if I try to look at plan, now plan will be the difference between what you want and what it is. So let me tell the Terraform plan hyphen help. So are you basically trying to see it says the Terraform plan and then you can give everything whatever you have given earlier. So Terraform plan hyphen var hyphen file is equals to dev.tf vars. Okay. So when you do apply, okay, first Terraform refresh gets executed. Then Terraform plan gets executed. After Terraform plan gets executed, then application happens. So all these days, without knowing this, we were happily executing Terraform apply. So Terraform apply is combination of 3 things: refresh, plan, and then creating. That is apply. Okay. My screen is stuck. What is it? Sir, I think it is trying to tell that. Okay. So, sir, is my screen visible to people on the web, sir? Yeah. Right. Okay. So let us try to see what Terraform tries to speak about. Now we already have a resource group. Okay. I want one virtual network and 2 subnets. It is trying to tell that your plan will be creating the following things. Anything with green, it will try to create. So it is trying to tell that I am going to create subnets. Okay. Address prefixes will be this and this. Okay. And then I'll be creating one virtual network and virtual network will be this. Okay. Right. So there is one more way which you can do. Are you seeing Terraform plan? And for this you can give hyphen out and give a file's name. Okay. So something like out test.plan. And then after that you can do Terraform apply by giving this plan file as the input. I'll show you this, but this is not how we run in Jenkins. In Jenkins we always, or in CI/CD we always run with hyphen auto approve. Okay. This is okay to understand, but in CI/CD, the reason why we learn Terraform is we want to run it from CI/CD tools, right? So when we run it from CI/CD tools, I'll not be using this approach. I'll always use the approach of hyphen auto approve. Okay. But one the option చూపిస్తున్నాను, right? So out test.plan. So this plan file tells Terraform what has to be created or what has to be deleted, what has to be modified. Yeah. Oh, I have not updated the status, right? Yeah. Okay, fine. Sorry, seeing it is trying to tell the Terraform apply test.plan now. Yeah. So you can say Terraform apply. There is no need for refresh to happen. There is no need for plan to be created. You can just say Terraform apply test.plan. Okay. So Terraform applies combination of three things. What are they? Refresh, plan, and then apply. Okay. So when you apply directly trying to give just apply command, it will do all the three. When you apply by giving the plan file, it will not do all of that. It will just create. It will just create. Okay. Is virtual network like VPC in AWS? Yes, sir. Sorry, saying it is directly creating. It has not asked for refresh. It has not asked for what is the plan because you already have a plan. That means that Terraform expects that you have done the refresh, you have created the plan, and my work right now is just creating this plan. Okay, right. So I'm not writing information about this in the notes because for as a DevOps engineer, this is not my way of working. My way of working is always Terraform apply hyphen auto approve. Okay, right. So let me open this folder. So this plan file. Now, if you try to open this plan file with Notepad, you will not be able to see anything because it is a binary file. Okay, this is in the format which Terraform understands. For me, it is not an area of interest. Let me remove that. Okay, so get status get add dot added changes. Okay, so what are the changes which we have done? We have said that we will not be using, we will be using either underscore or hyphens everywhere. So underscore is a better way. So all the variable names of me will have underscores. And then rather than having names written directly like this, enter hyphen RG, I have created variable for that. Okay. So fine. Replaced, okay, hard coded variable names with hard coded names for resource group and VNet with variable. Okay. Refer here for the changes. Fine, sir. No. Sir, is my screen struck, sir? Seriously, is it struck? Because for me, I don't see any issue in my audience view. Right. Okay. Right, sir. Now the point which I want to do is let's try to create Azure SQL database. So what is it I want to create? Azure SQL database. If you remember, in entire architecture, we need a database also. So whenever I want to create anything in Terraform, what is the first thing which I need to know? Right? Yeah. What is the first thing, sir? Manual steps. Thank you. Now, fortunately in Azure, there is a better way for doing it. Okay. So Microsoft gives you documentations with respect to all the screenshots and all of that stuff. I will also be doing the same thing. So I'll not be sharing screenshots. But when I do the same activity in AWS, unfortunately, I have to share the screenshots because Amazon documentation doesn't include screenshots. So manual steps. So I'm giving this reference link, but I'll still create it manually. Okay. So let me go over here. First step is let me go ahead and then create a resource group, which is called as manual resource group. Okay. Right. So in this, I need to create a virtual network with 2 subnets, which we have already done using Terraform, if you remember. So create manual. Let me try to use manual hyphen vnet. Next, next. It is taking 10.10.0. That's okay. And then let me call its name as app, right? Okay. Add one more subnet, db. Yeah. Add, review and create. This is something which you have already done from Terraform. Yeah. You will not get this error, sir. I'm getting this error. Okay. So for the people who are part of Azure class, policy is coming into play. It is not allowing me because you are supposed to add one tag. Otherwise, it will not allow me to create resources. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, the next thing which I want to create is Azure SQL database. And as I said, all the information is basically present over here. Go and select Azure SQL. If you click on this, it will. Okay. So all the options are present over here, but I'll still try to create it manually once. Okay. Azure SQL, create Azure SQL, and then create single database. Okay. And then what is my resource group? Manual. And then you need to give some database name. So let me try to tell that QT manual for enter. Okay. And then there is something called as server. So I need to create a server. So QT DB SRV manual. Okay. I'm not really worried about that. I'll be basically trying to tell use SQL authentication. I have to give some authentication over here. Okay. ఇక్కడ కరెక్ట్ గానే ఉందా అయితే ఇక్కడ వర్క్ ఉన్నట్టు రైట్ ఓకే రైట్ సార్ my machine is development machine and let us try to see what is the size which they have selected. Okay, they have gone with configure option. There is something called as serverless. Okay, in serverless, whenever you try to select, this machine's cost is very less. So if you try to look into this machine will basically cost you how much? 300 75 rupees per month. This is one way of doing it. The other way is if you come over here, are you seeing basic? If you select this basic, this machine will cost you 384. This is the cheapest. Just click on apply size, and then we are almost done there. This is one area which we need to be in. So right now in networking, what is the connectivity method? No access. But if you remember, according to our architecture, we want the machine to be connected from DB subnet. Avuna? Yes. So I'll select something called as private endpoint. In private endpoint, I'll write that I want to add a private endpoint. So what is the private endpoint which I want? So let me give name SQL server. And in which date subnet we want? Database subnet. The reason why we are doing this is whenever you create a database in Azure, it will not be part of your virtual network. So you are creating a link between your database subnet and database. Okay, right. Now you click on OK. And then review and create previous tags. Let me have this, otherwise it will fail again. envs dev review and create. Okay, so that network connectivity part we will do at the last. First let us create it normally and then we can change it. Okay, so these are the options which you need to create the stuff. So if you try to look into this, in this there I'm creating two things. One is server, the other one is database. One is server, the other one is database. While creating the server, I have given some username and password. Yeah, right. ఎందుకు validation failed? బాబోయ్ ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగండి సార్, ఇది ఎందుకు అవుతుందో చెప్తున్నా ఆగండి. ఈ పాలసీకి వెళ్ళి ఇందాకే క్లాస్లో అసైన్మెంట్స్ require tag and its policy. Delete. Right. There was some discussion which we were having on Azure class. So due to that, there are certain things which are failing. ఇంకేమన్నా ఏడిసినాయా? లేదు. Okay, sir. So what are the two things which we need to create? We need to create SQL server and then database. Okay, fine, sir. That's okay. Misspelling is not really a major issue. Now I am creating a resource. Do you agree with me on this? Yeah. So Terraform Azure SQL server. Just click on this. Okay. Or Terraform resource. Our module name is Azure RM. Okay. So are you seeing Azure RM SQL server? Or else you can go over here and then search for SQL hyphen server. Okay. Right. So now what it is trying to tell us, this resource is deprecated in version 3.0. So what is the version which you are using? And will be removed in version 4.0. So right now, if I use this, when Azure releases a new provider with version 4.0, then my template might stop working. Yes or no? So one way to solve this problem is use something which they are getting into, or try to write a required provider version, saying that I'm going to use this, but required provider version has to be less than 4.0, because once it comes to 4.0, my work might not work out. So whatever that makes sense to you. So since we are creating this, let me use this itself. Okay. So manages a Azure database server. Okay. So now let me go over here. Where is my template? And then let me try to create something called as database.tf. And then I'm going to create a resource. What is the type? Azure RM underscore MS SQL underscore server. What is the name of that server? This is for my reference, right? So SQL underscore. So okay. So now the next thing which I have to look out for is arguments. So what are the arguments which you need to give? Name. So name of the Microsoft SQL server. So whenever I have names, I said that I'll be referring to it. Okay. So SQL server. Name of that is going to be a string, and SQL server. Name of that is going to be entire or qt entire db hyphen dev. Okay. Is that fine, sir? Yeah. In dev.tf vars, okay, I've used default names only, so I'm not passing that value, so it's okay. Okay. Now name is equals to var dot names dot SQL server. Any problem in this? Okay. Now, what is the next thing? I need to give resource group name. So let me try to write resource group name. And we have decided that from now onwards, whenever I'm going to use resource group name, I'll be using an attribute. Attribute is Azure RM underscore enter resource group dot name. Okay. Right. And the third one is location. Location also I'll get from my resource group. So Azure RM underscore enter resource group dot location. Then what is the version? The version of the new server. Valid values are 2.0 for version 11 and 12.0. Okay. So let me try to tell version is equals to 2.0. I'll change those values. Are you saying administrator login? Yeah. Now let me go with example usage. So are you saying administrator login and administrator login underscore password? For now, we are not basically following very secured approach, but that's okay. I'll try to tell administrator underscore login is qt or DevOps, and then administrator underscore login underscore password is DevOps at the rate 12345. Okay, right. Now, what are the other things? Oh, Azure AD administrator, we are not trying to look out for identity. Minimum TLS version is optional. Public network access enabled. Ideally, we should be changing that, but we'll be changing that at the last. We have decided that whenever I create anything, I'll be writing tags. So what are the tags which should be writing? env is equals to dev and created by is equals to Terraform. Okay. So shall we check whether this will work out or not? Terraform fmt Terraform apply. Okay. Hyphen var hyphen file is dev.tfvars. So what is the first thing which it will do? It will refresh. So when it refreshes, what happens? It will check your previous state, what was generated versus what is present in Azure now. And then your state file will be updated. So whatever you have written versus whatever is present, that becomes your plan, and plan gets executed. Let me try to. Okay, so let us try to see what it is trying to tell. So it is trying to tell that, okay, there are some hidden attributes with respect to org and all that stuff. This is fine. And then it is trying to create a SQL server. Now let me click on or enter. Yes. So if you don't want to enter S hyphen auto, approve. So if I know the manual steps, am I able to pass the values? Yes. Okay. So what is it trying to tell? Location East US is not accepted for Azure. The location only supports version 12.0. Okay. My version is wrong. I think I'm supposed to use 12.0. No, 2.0 version. Yeah. Right. Okay. So let me show you something interesting in Azure documentations. Okay. So in Azure documentations, right? So Azure VM quick start. There is some way to create some Windows machine. Are you seeing Terraform over here? So for many resources, Microsoft will give you Terraform example, but there is only one difference. Okay. The provider will not be the Azure RM provider. This will be the provider from Microsoft. Remember in Azure, there are two providers. One which is given by HashiCorp, the other one which is created by Microsoft. So this example, if you try to look into it, this will be using a provider which is, oh, they have given Azure RM. Good, right? In many cases, it is not Azure RM. Okay. So Azure has something called as AZ API. They have a provider which is called as AZ API. That is what they would try to, they are recommending at least. But if you try to see, in most of the cases, you would find the documentation from Microsoft. Okay. So don't focus on how to write the correct one that anyone can create. You can Google and then you will find out. But even if corner scenario is given to you, how will you work out? That is important. Okay. So for example, if they ask me to create some Azure ML service, machine learning, we never created from Terraform, but it doesn't matter. What are the manual steps and what are the values which I need to pass? What is the provider? And is there any example? That's it. If you follow this approach, you'll be able to work on anything. If you directly look into some other stuff, copy, paste, and work, then you will not be able to do different things. Yeah. Now, are we able to create a database, sir? Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the missing? Okay. Password validation. Password నచ్చలేదు దానికి. ఏం పెడదాం? Okay. This password is not great at the rate 1. ఏదో ఒకటి సావనివ్వండి. ఇది క్రియేట్ చేయండి. This will work out. Okay. Right. So I'm not creating this resource, sir, but let me try to do with git status. Did we do Terraform FMT, sir? Yeah. Okay. Git add dot added changes to create SQL server. Okay, we'll create database in anyway in next session, and then uh, we will try to work it out. Okay, right. Refer here for the changes done to create SQL server. Okay. Execution and database creation are pending. Okay. Right, sir. Now, okay. So let us speak about tomorrow's class timing, sir. So now there are a couple of challenges for me during this month. Some of the people are fasting and they're asking for um, little leeway in this timing. कब है इफ्तियारी का time? 6:40. Okay, right. So now what shall we do? 7 to 10. ఇక్కడికి వచ్చేవాళ్ళు ఏమవుతారు? Okay, let us do one thing, sir. Let us have the class as usual. I'll start it at 5:30, a half an hour earlier. Okay, and during whatever the time is, 6:40 to 7 or 6:40 to 6:50 or something like that, I'll give a 10-minute break. Okay, just remind me at that time, and then you can continue. By the way, I don't fast, sir. Okay, నాకు పెద్ద ఉపవాసాలు ఇట్లా భక్తితో పెద్ద పనులు ఏం లేవు, రైట్? కస్టమర్ దేవుళ్ళు అనాలి నేను ఇంకా, right? So I'm just worried about the people who fast for the whole day. So what we do is, let us start our class at 5:30 from tomorrow. During that fasting time, somewhere around at 6:30 or 6:35, let us take a 15 minutes break, so that we will get the break, and whatever is done by whoever is fasting, their purpose also will be solved. And let us have sessions from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. IST, both on Saturday and Sunday. Is that fine, sir? Yeah, right. And then there is one session with respect to GitOps. Okay, so this is basically for the people who have covered CACD, but during this weekend on Sunday, uh, I'll try to tell you the timing tomorrow. Okay, the problem is that will be an online session, that will not be an offline session, uh, and I'm just finding a right place to deliver that class. Okay, and we'll be sharing you the links of that, and GitOps will be an online session. Okay, completely online session. Okay. Yeah, it is IST, sir. PM, yes. Saturday, Sunday, we will have classes in the evening, sir. So why is that a surprise? Last week we didn't had it. Okay, 3 hours for DevOps, yes, sir. Actually, we require a little bit more. My idea was to have a 6-hour session tomorrow. But let us not do that. Let us do the next week. If you are okay, I would like to have a session from 11 to 5. Let us wind up everything by 5 o'clock. Yeah? Is that okay? In GitOps, we will be doing Bitbucket pipeline. Boy. Why will I do Bitbucket pipeline in GitOps, sir? I'll do GitHub Actions. Yeah. కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ లైక్ మోహన్ గారు, బేసిక్ గా గిట్ ఆప్స్ నుండి చేస్తే, బిట్ బకెట్ నుండి చేస్తే దాని గిట్ ఆప్స్ అనరండి. ఓకే, గిట్ ఆప్స్ నుండి చేసేది జనరల్ గా మనం మాట్లాడే యాక్టివిటీస్ ఎక్కువ శాతం గిట్ ల్యాబ్ లేదంటే గిట్ హబ్ తో వాడతామండి, రైట్? కంపెనీలు ఏం చేస్తున్నారంటే సపోర్ట్ టీం వాళ్ళని ఎస్ఆర్ఈ అని వేస్తున్నారు, వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తలేదు, పేరు బాగుందని పెట్టేసుకుంటున్నారు. సో గిట్ ఆప్స్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ విచ్ ఇట్ షుడ్ బి ఇనిషియేటెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ గిట్ రిపాజిటరీ. Yeah, you can technically do little things and then call it from API and get it done, but the whole idea is to use GitHub Actions. Our focus will be on GitHub Actions. Yeah, right. Okay, fine, sir. So are we okay with this? Yeah, 5:30 to 8:30. Let us wind the discussion, or shall I make 5 to 8? I'm worried about other time zones, because there are people from other time zones who are also connected, and I don't want them to be extremely early in the morning. Yeah, Pavan should tell me. So EST, is it fine, sir? Okay, Venu, EST పర్లేదా ఆ టైం 6:30 అంటే కొంచెం ఎర్లీ. ఓకే, ఈఎస్టీ ఇంకా బెటరా? ఓకే, fine then. For this week, we'll let us try 5:30 to 8:30. Next week, if required, we'll move it from 5 to 8. Okay, right, sir. EST వాళ్ళకి 8 AM. 8 AM అయితే నెప్పండి సార్. CST 7 to 10 as per current timings. ఓకే, ఓకే, 8 AM అయితే గొడవ లేదు కదా అసలు. Just consider UTC. I know that there are some people from Australia and also, yeah. Let us have 5:30 to 8:30 only. Right, I'm just moving half an hour early. Yeah. Sindhu, what is your time zone? Oh, right. Only weekends in the evenings you will have little bit of difficulty, ma'am. That too for this 1 month. Otherwise, it will be normal evening times itself. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. Yeah. Sir, did we understood what we have discussed today? We are basically going little bit on the improvement path where we are not hard coding values. And the next thing is basically in this resource also I have done one thing which I'm not supposed to, or I missed one thing. Do you remember depends on? We said that we want to explicitly depends on something, but for SQL Server I have not put depends on. Okay, but there is an implicit dependency on resource group, so it's still fine. But always a good idea to put explicit depends on, because it improves readability. When someone looks into your Terraform template, he will come to know about the order just by looking at depends on statement. Yeah. Okay. Good, sir. What is the main difference between JYP and online classes? Sir, the basic idea of JYP is you would be spending more time on doing things, sir. Okay. Uh, and then probably you might get your issues little bit resolved earlier because you will be accessible and available for 8 hours. Okay. That is the basic difference between training and JYP program. And yeah, your doubts will be resolved. You will have people to work with. You have some sort of community to work with so that you can learn, share the stuff. Okay, so learning will be a little bit easier. Okay, but the other way of looking at that is you have to give me 8 hours of time. Yeah, right. Apart from that, content wise, I don't see any difference. This is a source of content even for JYP. Yeah, right. Okay, right, sir. Thank you.